The Philippine Statistics Authority reports that the country's inflation rate has reached 6.4% in August this year. Budget Secretary Benjamin Jokno warns the surge in inflation could go on if the Congress fails to act on certain proposed measures. Rosalie Coz tells us why.
The country's inflation rate continued to accelerate in August, hitting a 9-year high of 6.4% according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. This exceeded the forecast of Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, which was at 5.9%, and the Department of Finance at 5.8%. According to Budget Secretary Benjamin Jokno, this rate is still manageable. Jokno believes the high prices of basic commodities such as rice, fish, and oil in the global market greatly affect the country's inflation rate.
Just manageable. I've seen worse inflations. I've been in government for 50 years. Time nga ni Marcos, magkano 50% inflation.
However, Jokno warns that a surge in inflation could go on if the Congress fails to immediately pass the proposed measures to curb the impact of inflation to the public, such as the rice tariffication bill.
If they don't, then we will be operating under maybe slightly higher inflation even for 2019, slightly higher.
The government vows to speed up the implementation of mitigating measures that would ease the effects of high inflation in the country from this year to 2020. Coinciding with the skyrocketing inflation rate, Jokno proposes an increase in the country's inflation rate forecast. Meanwhile, House Speaker Gloria Arroyo is set to meet with her focal person on inflation, Albay Representative Joey Salceda, to discuss measures to address the rising inflation.
Hopefully, this will be the peak. Because I remember in my time, in March of 2009, the inflation was 6.6. But by June, it was down to 1.5. So conceivably, even a sharp increase can be resolved. But we have to analyze what's driving it, and therefore how to address what's driving it.
Rosalie Coz, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
President Rodrigo Duterte affirms his preference to have Israel as the Philippines' only supplier of weapons and military equipment during his meeting with his counterpart in Jerusalem. This is amid staged protests against Duterte's visit and possible arms deal. Rosalie Coz tells us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte announces during his meeting with Israeli President Reuven Rivlin that the armed forces of the Philippines will only buy weapons from Israel.
My orders to my military is that in terms of military equipment, particularly intelligence gathering, we only have one country to buy from them. That is my order, specifically Israel.
The Philippine military, Coast Guard, and police have in the past acquired defense systems and weapons from Israel. But the Philippines has also purchased arms from other countries as well. Duterte says the United States is a good friend, but that buying from them entails limitations, and it's the same with China and Germany.
Well, America is a good friend, but if you sell you something, he would also be listening. So with China and everybody else, Germany, so you can be very sure that they are also amply connected with you.
In mid-August, 3 prominent members of U.S. President Donald Trump's cabinet signified through a letter the Trump administration's intention to enter into an arms deal with the Philippines. But Duterte challenged the U.S. government's sincerity, especially after the U.S. State Department called off the procurement of assault rifles to the Philippine National Police in 2016, citing concerns of human rights violations in line with the Duterte administration's war on drugs.
Kaya nagbili tayo ng 23,000. What happened? Binara ng isang congressman, ilang senador, Congress nila.
So I was forced to go to China.
But some Israelis are protesting against the possible arms deal between the Philippines and Israel. The protesters chanted the words shame and fascist at Duterte and held up banners depicting the president with an Israeli-made Galil assault rifle, reading "Stop the Killings."
In the last 2 years, Duterte has been responsible for the murder of about 12,000 people, according to Human Rights Watch, and big part of the weapons that the Philippine police and military are using are Israeli weapons.
President of Israel is meeting with someone who apparently is committing human rights abuses, sending forces out to kill people, and saying some of the things he said, comparing himself to Hitler, is profoundly shocking.
After a 4-day visit to Israel, Duterte is set to depart from neighboring Jordan for another historic visit. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue.
The UNTV News and Rescue was able to secure a copy of an ad hoc committee resolution of the Department of National Defense bearing the names of Magdalo members who applied for an amnesty during the Aquino administration. Grace Cassin will tell us why on this report.
Department of National Defense Ad hoc Committee Resolution Number 2, dated January 5, 2011, shows that the following individuals have filed their application for amnesty pursuant to the Presidential Proclamation Number 75 in connection with their involvement and or participation in the 2003 Oakwood Mutiny, 2006 Philippine Marine Standoff, and the 2007 Manila Peninsula Hotel Siege. In the said document, the name of former Lieutenant Senior Grade Antonio Trillanes IV was written first. The names of now Magdalo Party List Representative Gary Alejano and several others are also included. According to former Magdalo Party List Representative Francisco Ashley Acidillo, who provided the document, they were not given a receiving copy of the amnesty application. However, they were given a certificate of amnesty, which was signed by then Defense Secretary Voltaire Gasmin. Acidillo also participated in the 2003 Oakwood Mutiny and was granted amnesty but was listed on another batch.
Nag-apply kami, pinoseso yan ng DND Ad hoc Committee on Amnesty. Pagkatapos tapos sila ng isang resolution na nagsasaad kung sino yung mga nag-apply at kung aprobado ito, hindi ka mabibigyan yan ng Certificate of Amnesty na yan kapag hindi ka dumaan sa proseso ng pag-a-apply ng amnestiya.
Acidillo also explains how they filled out the amnesty application.
Meron na po silang pro forma na document na fill upan na lang ho namin, saka pipirmahan at saka ho kami mag-a-attest po mag-testify to the truthfulness, the accuracy of the document.
The former lawmaker says they're ready to defend their rights against looming amnesty revocation and arrest as they have documentation to prove it. Grace Cassin, UNTV, News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Senator Antonio Trillanes is planning to question before the Supreme Court the Proclamation Number 572 signed by President Rodrigo Duterte revoking his amnesty. Nel Mariboc tells us why.
Senator Antonio Trillanes and his legal team continue to explore legal remedies that they could use to counter his looming arrest following the revocation of his amnesty. Trillanes is currently staying in his office after he was placed under Senate's custody to prevent his arrest as ordered in Proclamation Number 572 signed by President Rodrigo Duterte. The senator says they plan to file a petition before the Supreme Court questioning the validity of the proclamation.
Pa-file kami ng petition for TRO sa Korte Suprema. This goes beyond the political lines. Dahil yung presidential declaration na yon should alarm the justices of the Supreme Court.
Trillanes has also denied anew the government's claim that he did not file an application for amnesty and did not admit his guilt for his role in uprising to topple the Arroyo government when he was still in military service. He also presented a copy of the decision of the Regional Trial Court stating that the rebellion and coup d'etat charges against him has already been dismissed.
September 21, 2011, ang hawak nila is 2010. Paano? Dismiss yung kaso eh.
For some senators, the revocation of amnesty and the motion to reopen Trillanes cases in court remain debatable.
Maaaring nagkaroon ng tinatawag nating vested right dahil binigay, tinanggap na, hindi na lamang isang partido ang pwedeng bumawi nun. Pangalawa, meron din tayong rule na tinatawag na double jeopardy. Didikit na nga ba yung double jeopardy kay Senator Trillanes?
It appears to me that the proclamation is illegal, but that's for the courts to decide.
But for Senate President Vicente Soto III, it is better to leave the issue to the Supreme Court.
Kung magbibigay ng amnesty ang presidente at ito ay kinunkar in ng Kongreso, ang issue is wala ring nakalagay sa konstitusyon na dapat i-concur ng Kongreso ang revocation. So the issue will also again be tossed to the Supreme Court to tell us whether it should be concurred in or not.
The Senate President also sees no problem with the presence of security forces outside Senate premises awaiting negotiation results on Trillanes custody. Nel Maribho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The Makati Regional Trial Court is set to hear the Department of Justice motion to reopen the cases and issue an arrest warrant against Senator Antonio Trillanes IV on September 13. This is after the amnesty granted to Trillanes was revoked by President Rodrigo Duterte through Proclamation number 572, which declares the amnesty as void from the beginning. Makati RTC Branch 148 Judge Andres Bartolome Soriano also orders Trillanes to file a comment within 5 days upon receival of order. Apart from the warrant of arrest, the DOJ is also urging the court to issue a whole departure order to prevent Trillanes from fleeing the country. Senator Trillanes can be arrested by the Armed Forces of the Philippines Senior Marshal even without a court-issued warrant of arrest, according to the Department of National Defense. Let's find out why from Lea Ilagan.
The Department of National Defense insists that the military can facilitate the arrest of Senator Antonio Trillanes without a court-issued warrant of arrest following the revocation of his amnesty. DND Internal Audit Service Chief Attorney Ronald Patrick Rubin explains that provo marshals can issue an arrest order for military offenses under the military justice system. This is to resume the court-martial's hearing of administrative cases against the senator for violating the Articles of War 96 or the conduct unbecoming an officer and a gentleman, and Articles of War 97 or the conduct prejudicial to good order and military discipline, which were suspended in 2011 following his amnesty grant. Trillanes has earlier insisted that he should not be subjected to court-martial proceedings, saying he effectively resigned himself from service when he ran for and won a Senate seat twice.
2007 pa lang, civilian na ako nung nag-file ako ng Certificate of Candidacy. That is by force of law. So, civilian na ako. Kaya nga nung Manila Pen incident noong 2007, hindi na nga ako na-subject sa court-martial. So kahit tanggalin mo yung amnesty, civilian pa rin ako noong 2010.
However, Attorney Rubin says the voiding of the amnesty granted to Trillanes authorizes Provo Marshal to arrest him under the military court.
The acts for which he was charged happened while he was in active service. So although he is a civilian now, the jurisdiction of the court-martial was acquired while he was an active serviceman or an active officer of the armed forces.
AFP's military, police, and legal officer tasked to arrest Trillanes are already deployed, but out of respect for the Senate, they are only staying outside its premises while higher AFP officials negotiate with Senate leaders on voluntarily turning over Trillanes.
Pero respeto naman namin ng Senado. Hindi naman we are a civilized people, first of all.
We have an officer present there with our MPs, and we trust that he will exercise good judgment in handling the situation. The organization is a very professional organization.
The AFP is currently forming a 5-member general court-martial that will hear the case of Trillanes. For now, Andolong says Trillanes should prove that he submitted an application for amnesty because DND could not find a copy of it in their records.
I was told that he swore an oath of allegiance at pinakita niyo dun sa video, sa picture. Unfortunately, mukhang siya lang ata may hawak ng kopya ng original because we cannot locate it at the moment.
Angelo also says the senator's detention facility has been prepared at the AFP Custodial Center inside Camp Aguinaldo and assured that he will not be accorded any special treatment. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
A constitutional law expert believes the original receiving copy of the amnesty application form submitted in 2011 is the best evidence that can be used by Senator Antonio Trillanes. Mai Bermudez tells us why.
This video taken in 2011 shows Senator Antonio Trillanes signing a document and taking a note before a military officer. Trillanes earlier said this was the time when he filed his application for amnesty during the term of former President Benigno Aquino III. An amnesty is granted when the chief executive forgives a member of the armed forces for his offenses but requires the Congress's concurrence. But Malacanang voided the amnesty, citing Trillanes' alleged failure to comply with certain requirements, including the submission of the application. The lawmaker has repeatedly denied this and even showed some evidences during his privileged speech at the Senate. According to constitutional law expert Dean George Garcia of the PLM College of Law, things will be easier for Trillanes if he will present the original document.
Oo, may nakita tayong mga imahe ng nakita dyan yung kanyang application, nanunumpa siya, pero siyempre, hahanapan pa rin siya nung papel. Oo, yung physical na papel na naandun yung stamp receive ng mismong opisina. Pag wala kasi yon, siyempre yung kasing nasa video, wala naman kasi nakita doon na na-receive. Wala naman kasi nakita doon na may tatak. So, kahit sa korte, hindi mag-i-stand yun. The best evidence remains to be the document.
The Department of National Defense earlier said that Trillanes should prove that he submitted an application for amnesty because they could not find a copy of it in their records. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Senator Antonio Trillanes IV was one of the leaders of two failed military uprisings against the Arroyo administration, for which he was charged with coup d'etat and rebellion. And now the revocation of his amnesty is stirring debates. Let's remember the events from when Trillanes first surfaced in the media in this report.
The rampant corruption in President Gloria Arroyo's administration led over 300 soldiers of Magdalo Group to mutiny on July 27, 2003. The rebel soldiers occupied Oakwood Hotel in Makati City and called for Arroyo to step down. Then, Lieutenant Senior Grade Antonio Trillanes IV emerged as one of the leaders of the uprising. But the group surrendered after failing to rally the public's support. Trillanes and his companions were placed under court-martial for violating the Articles of War. Arroyo accepted their apology, but the cases were not dropped. While under detention, Trillanes ran and won as senator in the 2007 elections. During their trial on November 29, 2007, Trillanes, Brigadier General Danilo Lim, and 30 other soldiers walked out of the courtroom and occupied Manila Peninsula Hotel in Makati City. They again called for Arroyo's resignation after a military vehicle barged into the hotel lobby. Trillanes was charged with rebellion over the incident. However, on November 24, 2010, then-President Benigno Aquino III signed Proclamation 75 granting amnesty to Trillanes and other soldiers who participated in the failed uprisings. The Congress gave its concurrence December 13 of the same year.
We are man enough to admit na we have broken rules in the pursuit of our moral cause, and we faced it.
A month later, on January 2011, Trillanes applied for amnesty and it was accepted by the Defense Department. In September 2011, the Makati courts dismissed the coup d'etat and rebellion charges against Trillanes. He was re-elected to the Senate in 2013 and became a staunch critic of the Duterte administration. Until this Friday, President Rodrigo Duterte signed Proclamation 572 revoking his amnesty. Palace officials said his amnesty was void from the start for failing to comply with the necessary requirements. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The PNP responders vows to employ more aggressive moves in the 7th edition of UNTV Cup as they set to duel with GSIS Thunder Furies on Sunday's game. Bernard Dotties tells us why.
Now let's welcome in your PNP responders.
It's eyes on the prize for the PNP responders this season as they vow to bounce back from the stinging loss they suffered from Season 6 champions, Senate Defenders. The PNP was unable to defend their hard-won Season 5 title when Senate swooped in on them in last season's quarterfinals. PNP Responders Assistant Coach PO3 Artemio Marquez says the responders are raring to quench their thirst for championship this 7th edition, vowing to employ more aggressive tactics and higher endurance levels to reach the finals.
So hindi naman kami tumitigil sa ensayo kasi may mga regular kaming mga liga sa loob ng PNP. So magkakalaban naman sila. Yung physical nila is na-maintain nila. Well kami yun, practice kami.
The PNP Junior Cagers also draw inspiration from their seniors who bulldoze all their opponents on their way to UNTV Cup Executive Phase of Finals this year.
Siyempre, nakakaya sa mga bossing kung kami naman medyo bababang. So, yung aming executive, champion sila. So, pipilitin namin na tapatan yung champion nilang.
Aside from further improving their stamina, the PNP responders are also relying on their new players. These are PO1 Richard Villanueva from NCRPO, PO1 Rolly Serrano from MPD, and Cyril Santiago, who stands 6'4" and formerly played for the MMDA Black Wolves in Season 2.
They already have the system proven naman, nag-champion na sila. Filling in the gaps yung akin. So kung kailangan nila ng more on offensive rebound, defense, some points, wala namang problema ron. Yun ang ibibigay natin.
The PNP responders are set to duel against GSIS Thunder Furies on Sunday 5 p.m. at the Pasig City Sports Center. Bernard Dotties, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
A weed science expert supports Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol's statement that weevil-infested rice is still safe for consumption. However, he pushes for strict monitoring of agricultural products being shipped to the country, especially those that might carry foreign insect species. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
Weevil infestation on imported rice from Thailand puts the national food security at the center of criticisms in the recent days. There are around 300,000 sacks of rice left unloaded in shipping vessels at Albay and Subic ports due to consecutive days of monsoon rains last month. Some of the stocks have been infested with weevils or bukbok and are currently being treated through fumigation, which will take 7 to 12 days. The NFA maintains that the rice supply will still be safe for consumption, as proven by Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol when he ate weevil-infested rice on national television.
Ito po yung kanin na may bukbok. Pwedeng kainin? Pakita ko sa inyo. Galunggong may formalin. Kainin natin. Walang formalin ito.
A weed science expert Dr. Pio Javier explains, however, that weevils come in a variety of species. The most common is the sawtooth beetle that lives up to 3 years. This species can survive high temperature and can produce 300 to 500 eggs at a time. Javier is an adjunct research professor of the Institute of Weed Science, Entomology and Plant Pathology at the University of the Philippines in Los Baños. Javier adds, there is no harm in eating weevil-infested rice provided that it is properly washed and cooked. However, if the rice stock already shows the growth of molds or amag, that means severe infestation which could endanger human health when consumed.
Ang fumigants ay walang iniiwang residue doon sa grains. Hindi yan kumakapit sa grains. Kaya safe yung fumigation na ginagawa nila. Tapos yung mga insekto doon sa grains, ay safe naman yung mga insekto. Hindi ba doon sa mga exotic restaurant? Ay kinakain nga yung mga insekto, yung mga uod din. So huwag kayong mag-alala kapag kayong may insekto yung ating bigas.
Health Secretary Francisco Duque III also shares the same information.
Unless massively infected yung rice, no, ng bukbok, wala naman siyang talagang peligro pagka kinain, basta't mapakuluan lang ng maluto lang ng tama. Kung industrial volume ang pinag-uusapan, then you fumigate.
The insect expert says weevils also attack corn and flour stocks. He suggests that the Bureau of Quarantine exercise strict monitoring of agricultural products being shipped into the country because foreign insect species migrated through these shipments could endanger the country's agriculture sector. An example he cited was the cocolisap, which scientists trace its origin to Indonesia, which infested thousands of coconut trees and left farmers with billions of pesos lost in potential revenue. The cocolisap was believed to have entered the country through imported ornamental plants. Dr. Javier stresses that the impact of weevil infestation still depends on the species. Therefore, it is not safe to say that weevils that come from other countries are safe.
Halimbawa, nagtirip sila ng insecticide doon sa Thailand. Tapos ang ginamit nilang insecticide ay matapang, tapos nag-develop ng resistance yung insekto. So pagdating sa Pilipinas, magtitreat din tayo ng insecticide. Ay kung resistant din sa insecticide na yon, yung insekto, mahirapan tayong i-control yung resistant population ng bukbok.
He recommends a thorough cleaning of the storage before putting rice stocks to prevent the breeding and infestation of weevils and other insects. Ray Pelayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The National Printing Office assured that the ballots for the barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections in Marawi City will be printed today. Meanwhile, Comelec reports that the security in Marawi City will be intensified for the barangay and SK elections on September 22, 2018. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police have intensified the security in Marawi City, especially after the bombing incident in Isulan, Sultan Kudarat. According to Comelec, they will finalize the security plan on September 12 in preparation for the barangay and SK elections in Marawi City on September 22, 2018. They will assign additional security personnel in each clustered precinct in preparation for possible security threats.
Just in case may mga security issues or concerns tayo on election day, that will tantamount for teachers not to report on election day. Mayroon na tayong contingency plan. We train already TNP personnel which is allowed under the ESRA law para may deploy natin on election day.
There are 24 barangays in Marawi City inside Ground Zero, which Comelec relocated for the conduct of elections. According to Director James Jimenez, they are confident that there will be no failure of elections in Marawi City, even if there is a high security risk in the said city.
Meron tayong 193 total ng candidates, no? For SK members, 162 for SK chairman, 862 for Barangay Kagawad, and 234 for Puno.
Meanwhile, the National Printing Office has finished printing today the more than 76,000 official ballots, which will be used in Marawi City. After printing, the verification committee will check the serial code printed in the official ballots. The shipment of these ballots will be made next week.
Umpisahan po ngayong 1 p.m. ko di po. Pero matatapos din po yung almost 80,000, 75 minutes lang po yan itatakbo sa printer 1.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The lower chamber of Congress will realign more than 2 billion pesos in the budget of the Department of Transportation. In today's hearing of the House Committee on Transportation, One of the suggestions made by Deputy Speaker Prospero Pichay is to allot 2.5 billion pesos to the DOTR for the construction of 2 new runways in Clark International Airport. These will serve as alternative facility in case similar incident happens at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. This move is prompted by the appeal of the Manila International Airport Authority as NAIA's land area can no longer accommodate any extension of its runway.
This committee should make representation to realign some of the funds to make the second runway in Clark International Airport.
It's about time that we come up with a new airport with at least minimum of 2 runways as a start. Para po,
Wish FM's Wishcovery competition opens a good opportunity for young local talents of the North. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
After the auditions in Visayas, it's now time for the Singing Gems of the North to show the people what they got. Young aspiring singers from the North gathered in Calasiao, Pangasinan to try their luck in Wishcovery. Viral star Abigail Erpelo, also known as Higa Diva, went to the audition straight from her class in Baguio City.
Kasi gusto ko pong makamit yung pangarap ko at gusto ko rin pong maging proud po yung mga magulang ko kahit wala na po sila na. Kaya po sasali po ako ng sali kahit matalo man o manalo para po sa kanila.
Education student Michael Narag is also determined to be part of Wishcovery Season 2, a learning experience he can share to his future students.
Pamamagitan kasi ng pagtuturo, okay, may enhance mo kung paano ma-develop yung talent ng isang bata.
Nursing student Linda Cano also gave her best in singing Nosi Balasi.
Nosi Balasi. Sino ba sila?
Pakita sa lahat na laban lang po, na matapang ako.
The next audition will be held in Mindanao at the Avisa Mall in Davao City on September 16. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Calasiao, Pangasinan.